Good morning.
Good morning. Nominated twice for a Tony Award. What plays? What musicals and plays?
The first one was a long time ago when I played Eve Harrington, the charming girl that everybody misunderstands, in All About Eve / musical Applause.
Tell us all about it, Eve.
Well, she's this lovely girl who is brought in and takes care of and gets it. Is a big fan of this wonderful star who in the movie is Betty Davis, and my part, or the other part, is played by Ann Baxter. And she's really after everything the big star has, and she really gets it. But is she happy in the end is, of course, the question. So they made a musical of it with Lauren Bacall, Comden and Green, Ron Field, Lauren Bacall, Len Cariou, and they replaced Out of Town, the girl playing Eve. They brought me from Hollywood, where I had my head in the sink having my hair washed, and they brought the phone and said, "Can you get to Baltimore tonight?" And I went and I saw it, and I thought I knew what it needed. I don't know if I would have known if I hadn't seen it, but what I could bring to it. And I went into it, and evidently it gave the play something it hadn't had before.
How long did it run? Applause?
Well, when we finally opened, I was in it a year and a half, maybe a year, something like that, year and a half.
Were you surprised at your nomination?
I don't know that I was trying to think about that. I don't think I was surprised. I was so stunned because I had to do everything so fast, and they needed me so badly that if the pilot that I had just done in LA had sold, I would have to leave in 2 weeks. So I came in and did it in like 4 weeks, and so it all happened so fast. I was sort of stunned on that one, stunned completely.
And were other people nominated?
Yes, Bonnie Franklin was nominated, also in my category.
From Applause?
From Applause, yeah. I keep calling it associate actor. What is it called? Supporting actor, yeah. And Lauren Bacall, of course, not only did she get nominated, she won. And I think we got Best Musical, too.
What was it like that night at the Tony Awards? Do you remember?
Yeah, I remember one thing particularly. I had worn my opening night dress, which was a lovely Alex jersey turtleneck, shrimp-colored dress, which I mistakenly hung up after I'd worn it on opening night, and it stretches. So I kept thinking, oh my God, if I win and I go up, I'm going to trip. But I didn't win, so I didn't trip. But I had to keep pulling it up because it had gotten too long. That was my main problem that night. But it was a thrilling night, because this was a musical kind of like they hadn't had for a while, a real story musical. All the songs, what's that word? Advanced the story as well. It was, and it was this iconic movie with an icon like Lauren Bacall. I mean, it was a wonderful experience, wonderful.
Do you think the nominations have had an impact on your career?
I don't know. I did get nominated for a lot of Emmys when I lived in Hollywood, and I actually won an Emmy and did not work for 1 year after I won the Emmy.
So that's dispelled your notion that
I don't know whether it means anything or not. I know the nomination. I mean, that's perhaps a trite thing to say, but the nomination feels really validating. I don't know about the winning is so much. I don't know. It's more than that, and I think so. I don't, but I don't know that it has an effect. I'm just grateful that I've been able to do so many different kinds of roles, because when I said I want to be an actress when I grow up, I wanted to be like an English actress who does television, who does theater, and musicals and things. And you have given me an opportunity with this play a kind of a part I have never played. I've never been the good girl. Not that good, anyway.
Well, speaking of this play, Dividing the Estate, one of 4 Best Play nominees. Have you seen any of the other Best Play nominees this season? Reasons to be Pretty, God,
Nope.
The Carnage?
Nope.
33 Variations?
Yes, I did see that. I think it would be a great shame, not for the sentimental reasons, but those reasons too. I think it would be a great shame if this didn't win, because this is a full-length play that has layers and layers and layers and layers and layers of things going on in it. And it's also like a bias cut slice of life. And I have so many different ethnicities of friends who have come, Russians, Guatemalan doormen, all of this, and they all say, oh my God, that's my family. And I think that identifiable thing about it is I think it's important. I really hope it wins.
It's a fascinating story. Somebody who was very influential in Horton's early life in the theater was a member of that company down in New Orleans. And Wendell Phillips. Years later, I worked with his daughter in a show called Promised Land. And now I'm working with his granddaughter in this show. So it's 3 generations of that family that I've worked with, all with a connection to Horton way back when.
Is that how your connection to Horton began? Was it through
Yeah.
Wendell Phillips?
Yes.
But did you know of Horton's work?
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
separately?
Absolutely. But Wendell, when he found out I was going to go to LA, I asked him, I said, who should I study with out there? And he said, see if you can get with Jeff Corey. And I said, well, what if I can't get with Jeff Corey? He said, move to New York. So I got lucky and got with Jeff, and Jeff gave me my first job in television at Universal in an episode of, was that Rod Serling thing, not Twilight Zone.
Night Gallery.
Night Gallery, that's the one. And then I just started working on a semi-regular basis, and then finally doing enough work that I didn't have to have another job. And just one thing after another. And I had done a screen test for Phil DeGuerre for a show that I didn't get. They hired some guy named Selleck for this role. I have no idea why. But the next thing that came along was a thing called Pirate's Key, and Phil brought me in at the last minute because they couldn't find anybody that quite worked with Jameson Parker. So he brought me in on a Wednesday for a pilot that was going to start shooting on Monday, and sort of forced me down the network's throat, I think, as much as anything else. And
How many years would that be then?
how many years ago?
No, how many years was Simon then that?
Oh, 8 years on the air.
Wow.
For that one. And then because of that, I could then produce Major Dad, which was the next thing. But it was fascinating. But my career has been one of those things of just sort of being the workhorse, you know.
So Dividing the Estate was your first project that you actually directly worked with Horton?
Yes.
And that began off-Broadway 2 years ago.
And was one of the greatest, if not life-changing, which I think it was, at least career-changing moments. Because it's given me the opportunity to go back to what I started out to do, and that's act. And quite often there's a distinct difference between acting and being a TV star. All too often in television, they simply want you to repeat the last thing that you did. Now, I've made it my business to avoid that sort of trap, but still, you know, they still want that of you. And in the theater, people are actually interested in your ability to do different things. And this has brought me back home to the theater, and in such a good way.
And you being from Mississippi and working in the oil fields in Louisiana and
all
Texas,
of this,
coming into this play.
The resonance of this play to somebody who's been there and done that is just phenomenal. I mean, it resonates to everyone, because it's the beauty of Horton's work is that it is so specific. It's vastly universal. And that's the trick. He writes strictly what he knows. But what he knows is that part of Texas and the universe, you know, and it's all the same thing to somebody like Horton. But Horton Foote was and is, because his work is still alive, a bona fide genius in the theater. And there aren't many opportunities that a person gets in any profession to work with one of the bona fide geniuses in that field. was a wonderful opportunity for me.
He'd seen a play a few nights before, To Kill a Mockingbird, and he was elated. He loved the play, said it was a triumph, that your work was triumphant. And I looked around me when he died, and I thought, well, here are these people taking care of me like people would in a home. And I thought, well, that's what it is. He sort of gave me that gift. I feel like a gypsy a lot of the times, but it's not like a bad thing. It's just sort of different. And you just sort of create your own space and environment and place. Luckily, I get to work with a lot of the same people over and over, and that's sort of been happening a lot, and I'm really glad of that, because that feels like family.
Dividing the Estate is your 5th production at Hartford Stage.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Do you start to feel, I don't mean a comfort level in terms of, because we almost, maybe we try to get comfortable and secure enough so we can be uncomfortable on stage. But do you feel a kind of confidence and strength in terms of both your support from the theater here and the audience?
Well, I think you do feel, but you feel you're nervous because you don't know. Every time you do it, it's new, it's different. You know, it's not like, even Dividing the Estate, even though we've done it, you think, well, how will people feel about this particular production? And it was sort of nice. Last night we had some people in the audience, and just to hear them slightly react and stuff really comforted me, because when you're rehearsing, you're kind of like in a vacuum, and at some point you just think, if I don't get an audience in here, I'm going to kill myself, because you can just do so much.
Ultimately, the play is for the audience.
Well, it is, yeah. I mean, that you are in collaboration with the audience. It's a kind of, medium that's very dependent on that, and that's what's so great about it. 'Cause it's every night is different by extension, but yeah, it feels comfortable coming back here. People, people, you see the same faces. You're sort of been well taken care of. There's certain theaters I don't look forward to going back to. They shall remain unnamed. And that's another kind of thing. But this theater is not like that at all. It's a wonderful place to be.
If your father doesn't win the Tony Award, can you tell us about a couple of awards that really did mean a lot to him during his lifetime?
Well,
he got many.
He got many.
2 Oscars, an Emmy, a Pulitzer.
But the ones, it was the American Academy, the gold medal for his body of work. That was a huge one, because that was all his peers. And of course, the Medal of the Arts from President Bill Clinton. That was huge, because he loved Bill Clinton. And it kind of recognized his work in terms of, this country saying, yeah, you're a good writer.
Did your dad have anything to do with Harper getting into the Academy?
Yes.
Can you describe that story?
Well, she was visiting, and he asked if...
Who was visiting?
Harper. We were having, I think it was 4th of July or something. It was one of those holidays. And we had the apartment in New York still. And Harper has an apartment in New York. So she came over, and I cooked some food, and we were talking. And I don't know if my brother Horton was there. He may have been in and out. And Dad said, Harper, have you ever thought about, the American Academy, the Academy of Arts and Letters? And she said, oh, yes, but and he said, well, would you like it if I got you in? Would certainly recommend you. And she was just thrilled. And that next season, she was inducted into the Academy of Arts and Letters.
And your dad was able to go on her behalf, because
he was going anyway to be there with her, and she was not able to go.
Well, that's nice that they continued their...
Yes, and they stayed in touch, did stay in touch. And, she's in Alabama now, so that's where she is.
Well, everyone here wishes you great success on June 7th.
Thank you.
Given Horton and Tony and Hallie's Tony nominations, we're starting a little bit by talking about your experience with that award that some covet and some perhaps have a different viewpoint on it.
Oh,
but you were nominated for twice now, Lois. Can you talk about the productions?
For Grapes of Wrath and for Buried Child, both started at Steppenwolf and came to Broadway. And, well, you know, given the world we live in, it certainly is, I guess, a nice thing to be nominated for a Tony. I mean, everybody feels that way because of the competitiveness and the awards happy, you know, put it on your resume stuff. I certainly wish Horton and Hallie a Tony this year. It seems to me it should be the Foote year. On the other hand, I don't care. I mean, I think in the long run, that's not what's important. I know it's, doesn't that sound gooky? But really, it's the beautiful work that excites me.
When you first met and worked with Horton, it was at the 50-seat Ensemble Studio Theater.
Right, yes, the one act play called The Man Who Climbed the Pecan Trees, and I worked with his son Horton in it, and that was the first time I worked with Horton.
And he was there?
He was there. I think it won.
Did he direct it as well?
No, he did not direct it. Kurt Dempster did. I think it won. Horton has told me more than once about being thrown out of rehearsal by Kurt, which is appalling. Horton, of all people, who is a shining light in rehearsal. But yeah, that was the first time it was lovely. I remember, that is also a long time ago, but his sitting there in that little space and beaming his rays of love and support, which are hard to match.
Can you think back to working with Tennessee Williams and Orpheus Descending? Is there anything about that experience that you might share? I mean, you've had such an amazing career on stage, on screen, and he's been one of our more celebrated playwrights here at Hartford Stage, certainly.
Very wonderful. You know, he was with us too. This was exciting. It was really exciting. I don't know. I mean, the pleasure of working with a wonderful living playwright, and that collaboration is just, you know, that's it. That's where the gold is. I mean, it's not always a playwright, but I had been very fortunate, you know, Tennessee and Horton, of course.
But I wanted to ask you, Jeff's newly stepped in to Horton's, what was his last Broadway play during his lifetime, Dividing the Estate. What is that feeling like, stepping into a different character from Mother Watts altogether? But
I feel very fortunate to be able to do this. It is, it was fast, of course, and I often feel like I don't know, working sideways. It's a strange way to enter a play and a role, so that it's been fun and exciting, and the cast and you and everybody has been more than generous and welcoming, but still I often feel that here I am doing this, but I haven't done this, you know, and I'm still doing that. Right. Anyway, I'm very lucky to be able to do it.
We're very grateful.
Thank you. I'm very grateful too.
Horton's very
Hey, Horton.
Yay.
Thank you.
Thank you.